after we taped last week's episode at the weekend, the president had his announcement putting the police minister on special leave, instituting a commission of inquiry looking into the allegations of Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. But then also, this week, Khumbudzo Ntshaveni, the minister in the presidency, briefed the media on South Africa's national security strategy. And she essentially confirmed that a coup d'etat is a risk in South Africa. It's the first real public admission by this government and Cyril Ramaphosa's administration and the preceding ANC administrations that a democratic government is under threat. But what I want to know is, if Khumbudzo Ntshaveni has said we've identified the threat and we've managed to mitigate against the threat, the weather doesn't cause a coup. People do. So if you've identified a threat, mitigated against a threat, surely then you should have the hawk saying we have made arrests on people who we believe have been planning or colluding to overthrow a democratically elected government.
I think the minister was correct in saying we've identified that there are reasons for a coup to be possible in South Africa. I mean, when you look commonly around the world, why coups happen, it's because of financial insecurity in the country, political instability. When we look at the lack of service delivery, when we look at growing inequality, all those factors are relevant and present in South Africa currently. However, it is my personal belief, I don't think a coup is ever going to happen. I think even the minister, the way in which she had phrased it, I sat in that briefing, and the way she had phrased it and how she had almost like tiptoed around what she had said, I don't think that the Hawks have made any arrests. I think by the government saying, we have identified, is maybe them just acknowledging it for the first time, because it's...
Well, that's acknowledging that 14 million South Africans go hungry at night. It's acknowledging that on average 70 people are killed in this country every day, acknowledging that there are so many systemic developmental issues, which is then the breeding ground for dissatisfaction in the state. And we look at year in, year out, Afrobarometer surveys get published that says every year it increases. More and more South Africans would rather forego regular elections, would rather forego a constitutional democracy, and would rather appreciate some sort of benevolent dictator or strong man in uniform. If that is what she's describing, then I'm sorry, Minister, we've known that for years.
Yeah, we've known that. And I think while all those things are true, the one thing South Africa does not have is a strong and robust military that is interconnected across the country. More specifically, going from the SANDF to SAPS, we do not have enough armed forces for a coup to be logistically possible in South Africa. I think specifically, even if you look at the disconnect between SAPS, Metro Police, when we look at the SANDF and their base structures, I think that while there is a bleeding ground for a coup, I think that is undeniable. I don't think unless civilian-led, because what the minister had described was a military armed enforcement base that could potentially overthrow the government. I don't think that that is likely at all. If anything, if there were to be a coup, and I don't think that a coup is going to happen, but if anything, I think it would be fully civilian-led.
So coup maybe not, but destabilization, definitely. You block a couple of trucks on the N3 leaving the port of Durban, you block outside or destabilize outside of the port of Richards Bay. That means the economic lifeline of South Africa is cut off. It means the economic lifeline of Southern Africa is cut off. I'm sorry, but that's what we saw in July 2021.
We did. I mean, we saw a miniature version of what had happened, I think just 2 or 3 years ago, where the taxi industry in the Western Cape was fighting with the city of Cape Town. I mean, they had blocked off all those major roads. Like, I think those instances is very realistic, and we could see civil unrest in that matter. To the point that, yes, it could destabilize the government, but overthrow the government? No, I don't think so. And even when you're looking at studies like Afrobarometer saying that a lot of people would rather have a almost Ibrahim Traoré type to have and take over the country, I don't think that that's what the South African public wants. I fight really strongly against this because a lot of people are like, you know what, I don't vote, I don't care. You know, a dictator can just take over. But I think, look, democracy is an extremely flawed system, but it's the best system that we have. You say all these things until your own civil liberties and rights are taken away. And I mean, there's many things that are wrong with the South African government. We would be the first to say that. But in a dictatorship, could you and I be sitting here talking about those things?
So what I think you're saying is that the South African public and the 70% of 16 to 35-year-olds who agree with the notion of some sort of benevolent dictatorship is too uneducated to know what it actually means.
Yes, 1,000%. And I think that often people, specifically you look at the rise of political parties like the Patriotic Alliance, the National Coloured Congress, and the way they almost operate their political parties within local government structures and in communities. And you often talk to people about the dangers of, because I mean, Gaten McKenzie's openly said he's a dictator.
No, the Patriotic Alliance is a dictatorship because they have no mechanism for electing a leader. The MK party is a dictatorship because there's nothing in their constitution. Firstly, their constitution says that the leader of the party chooses whoever holds any office. There's no part of the MK constitution that says how you elect a leader. So we already have two political parties who are dictatorships.